Two searches continue tonight, and each is...
Picture this. It's 2005, Star Wars Revenge of the Sith is released alongside Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. Coldplay has released their X and Y album, Kanye West released his second album, Late Registration, and We Belong Together by Mariah Carey is the #1 song of the year. George Bush is sworn in for a second term, Tony Blair is the UK's Prime Minister, and North Korea claims they have a nuclear bomb. We shall see. And at the culmination of all this, besides it being my birth year of course, MI6's star agent is without a body. Pierce Brosnan, the most recent 007, had been fired after 4 Bond movies, though most thought he would make a return in a 5th. Even after his most recent film, Die Another Day, was a success, the producers thought he was not fit for the way they wanted to start portraying Bond. See, they had seen how much people had loved the recent Jason Bourne movie, which came out a few years prior, and they knew it was time to change how James Bond was portrayed. James Bond had always been a charismatic, godlike man, who never got hurt or outwitted, or even made a mistake. But that simply would not suffice anymore. People were starting to get tired of this type of Bond. They wanted something real. They needed a Bond who was human, who would make mistakes, and who could actually have a real life and not just some picture-perfect movie life. On October 14th of 2005, Daniel Craig was announced as the next 007. A promising young actor eager to carry on the name. This seems great. Like, they got their guy, right? Absolutely not. No. Immediately there was public outcry, from websites like craignotbond.com being created to protest the choice, to even the media saying he was James Bland. And in all fairness to the media, a pretty good roast as far as media companies and their jokes go. How could they let a blonde-haired, blue-eyed, shorter, and less handsome guy play James Bond? And disclaimer here, I'm not the one saying he's less handsome, they are. I think he's a very handsome guy. James Bond was always played by an actor who had darker features, like brown eyes and brown hair, and who was a good height, not 5'10". With all the backlash, many would assume the production company would have quietly let Daniel Craig go, but they refused. They knew they had picked the right man to carry the torch. They knew the public would fall in love with him just like the public fell in love with Jason Bourne. Craig also refused to change. The production company came to him and asked him to dye his hair dark brown, to fit the rest of the Bonds. But he refused. He said he was who he was and he wasn't going to change. After months of backlash and petitions, Craig's first movie as Bond came out, Casino Royale. With all the hate, you would think it would flop, right? Absolutely not. It became the biggest hit in the box office for a James Bond film, bringing in over $600 million. That's more than I've made this year. The 2006 movie reassured the company that they had chosen the right man for the job, and they should continue to choose him. It is widely considered to be one of the best James Bond movies of all time. Most would put it in their top 3, if not #1. Daniel Craig later went on to have 4 more movies, spanning 15 years as 007, including movies Quantum of the Solace, Skyfall, Spectre, and finally, No Time to Die. And his role as James Bond ends in a very rare way in the JBU, James Bond universe. He dies at the end of No Time to Die. If that's a spoiler, I sincerely apologize, but it's been 5 years, so I feel like you could see it. Also, doesn't really fit the name, right? No time to die and yet you're dying? Okay, anyway. The first time James Bond has ever died in any movie, in any book, since whenever it was written, since 1962 when the first movie came out, and I don't know, maybe the early 50s or late 40s when James Bond was first written. Daniel Craig retired from playing James Bond with the best performing movie, and he is the highest paid Bond from the movies, earning over $100 million from the movies. He went from being the black sheep to being the golden child in under 2 years with just one movie. Now, it was an amazing movie, but still, just one movie.